Saubhagya Lakshmi Upanishad. This Upanishad is related to the tradition of RigVeda. The magnificent letters of Shri aphorism has been made basis for description of the hymn, discuss, etc. of the goddess. It has been presented in the form of a questionnaire where in questions and answers were transacted between the gods on one side and Sri Narayana on the other side. This Upanishad is divided in three parts. The first part has been started with the curiosity of Saubhagya Lakshmi Vidya. The subject matter then is concentration on Saubhagya Lakshmi, the saints, etc. of Sri Sukta, the discuss of Saubhagya Lakshmi, the saint to one letter containing hymn, etc. The one letter containing discuss and the special hymn of Lakshmi. In the second part, the Jnana Yoga for the eligible persons, the yoga or pranayama with Sanmukhi posture. Description of three knots from which the sound arises, propensity of integrated Brahma, exclusive spirit, and the characteristics of meditation has been described. In the third part, the 9 discusses Naval Chakra, that is Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, navel, heart, throat, palate, brow, Brahmarandra, and Akasha have been enumerated, and lastly, the fruit of the study of Upanishad has been explained. Prathamaha Khandaha. All gods once appeared before Lord Narayana and requested, O Lord, kindly preach us the learning of Saubhagya Lakshmi. Lord Narayana replied, O gods, it is all good now. O gods, it is all good now. Listen to attentively what I say. One should concentrate his mind on the goddess Sri Lakshmi with reciting Hiranyavarnam, etc. 15 Rachas of Sri Sukta. She is beyond the three stages, that is formidable, micro, and cause, who is beyond the stage of Turiya, concomitantly being in front of Turiya. She is scarce to perceive, and she is enshrined on the seat of all hymns. She is surrounded by the gods seated on pithas and sub-pithas, and she has 4 arms. The intuitive saint to the 15 rachas of above Sri Sukta are Ananda, the son of Indira, Chiklita, and Kardama. The intuitive hermit to the first hymn is Shri, viz. Indira and Ananda, Kardama and Chiklita, etc. Hermits are the saints to 14 hymns. The rhyme to first 3 rachas is Anushtup. Rhyme to 4th racha is Trishtupa. The rhyme to the rachas from 7 to 14, that is 8 rachas, is Anushtup, and the rhyme to the 15th racha is Prastara. Pankti. The gods to these hymns are the Shri, and the fire Hiranyavarnam is the seed to all hymns falling within this aphorism, and its power Shakti is Kansomi. One should do Anganyasa with reciting at the beginning Om and in the end Namaha to the words Hiranya. Hiranyavarna in the fourth classification Vibhakti. Then Anganyasa should be made with reciting Vakratraya hymn. The process of Nyasa is a systematic manner. The process of Nyasa in a systematic manner and with reciting the rachas of Sri Sukta on the head, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, throat, arms, heart, navel, genital, anus, public, genital, anus, pubic, leg, thigh, etc. parts of the body. Then the following hymn should be recited in the state of concentration. May the Mother Goddess of entire worlds, Shri Mahalakshmi, shower prosperity on us. She is in reddish complexion, seated on a pious petal of lotus, yellowish as the lotus honey, two lotus flowers in two hands each, as also the bowing posture and the posture of fearlessness in other two hands, adorned with excellent influence of the bangles studded with gems and adorned with all kinds of ornaments. Inside the seed to be Pitha Karnika, the Shri seed shrim should be written with special attempt. The half hymn of Sri Sukta in the middle of the ground circle and on the lotus containing 8 petals, 12 petals and 16 petals each should be then written. Outside that seed to be the Matrika letters, that is Yaha Suchihi Prayato Bhutava etc. should be written, viz. After writing the hymn containing 16 petals and above from A to Ksha should be written. Thus, the Sri Chakra consisting of the parts, that is Pranava, Shatkona, Bhuvratta, Ashtadala, Bhuvratta, Dvadasadala, Bhuvratta, Shodashadala, Bhuvratta and Nirvubhratta should be made, and Shri is to be summoned. The worship to the first layer is performed through the hymns of Anganyasa. The worship to second layer is made through the nidhis like Padma, etc. The third layer worship is made through the Lokapalas, Indra, etc. And the worship to fourth layer is made through their arms and weapons like thunderbolt, etc. The deeds pertaining to summon the gods are performed with reciting the hymns of Sri Sukta. As a next effort, the Purascharana with reciting 16,000 hymns has been provided. The sage of worship to Saubhagya Lakshmi hymn is Bhrigu. The rhyme is Nichrit Gayatri and the god is Shri. Some is the seed. The process of Anganyasa is to be performed with reciting Shram, etc. Then concentration should be made according to the meaning of the successive hymns as mentioned below. May the goddess Sri Lakshmi grace on us with the best luxuries by enshrining on the lotus seat who has held lotus flowers in her both hands and whose two other hands are in the posture of bowing and fearlessness respectively, whose complexion of body is like the melted gold, the goddess who is bathing with the water pouring from vessels held by two elephants in their trunks, who are in the complexion of white clouds, a reddish color, and gem studded crown is adorned on her head. Her apparels are excessively clean, whose eyes are like that of lotus, whose parts and organs of body are smeared with the sandal, etc. Scented matters consistent with the existing season and who resides in the heart zone of Lord Vishnu. After the concentration so made, the Pitha Yantra is described in this Pitha Yantra. There is a Rama Pitha analogous to the shape of quadrangle, 3 circles, the lotus containing 8 petals, the Shri seed, Shrim, should be mentioned with special attempt on that seed. For example, Shrim, Shri Rama Devi, Jushtam should be recited. And then call of the nature. Pitha Nyasa and Nyasa with the saints etc. should be made. Subsequently, the worship should be performed to the 9 powers, that is Vibhuti, Kanti, Unnati, Kirti, Srishti, Sannati, Vyushti, Riddhi, and Satkrishti should be performed by using each name in 4th classification Vibhakti and by adding Om in the beginning and Namaha in the end of each name. Thereafter, the first layer should be worshipped through Anganyasa. The worship of second layer is to be performed by praying to Vasudeva, etc. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Now, by the third layer, worship to Valaki, etc. Valaki, Vimala, Kamala, Bibhishika, Vanamalika, Malika, and Vasumalika should be performed. Then, in the worship of fourth layer, Indra, etc., all gods and with their weapons, including thunderbolt, should be worshipped. For Purascharana, 12 lakh hymns should be recited in a regular framework. Now, the system of Shrim, Hrim, Shrim, learning which contains 3 letters is being described. Its system of worship is analogous to the worship of 1 letter hymn. Only a slight difference is existed in the third layer worship. In the beginning of this learning, Om, and in the end word Namaha is to be added, and every name should be used in its 4th classification Vibhakti. These names are Shri, Lakshmi, Varada, Vishnupatni, Vishnuprada, Vishnupatni, Vasuprada, Hiranyarupa, Swarnamalini, Rajatasraja, Swarnamalini, Rajatasraja, Swarnapriya, Swarnaprakara, Padmavasini, Padmapriya, Chandrasurya, Muktalankara, Bilvapriya, Ishwari, Bhukti, Mukti, Vibhuti, Riddhi, Samriddhi, Krishti, Pushti, Dhanada, Dhaneshwari, Shraddha, Bhogini, Bhogada, Savitri, Dhatri, and Vidhatri, etc. And thus worship is to be made. The worship of Pita is to be made with Anganyasa, like the one letter hymn. 1,00,000 hymns are to be recited for Purascharana. The 1/10th part of the japa is Tarpana. 1/10th part of Tarpana is Havana, and 1/10th part of Havana is feeding of Brahmanas. This is the rule formed for Purascharana. This learning of Sri Lakshmi can be acquired only by the devotees who are free from all kinds of attachments. They attain accomplishment to this learning. Dvitiya Patalah, Dvitiya Khandaha. All gods then raised the next question to Lord Narayana. O God, please tell us all in context to the specified elements of the Turiya illusion, Maya. Lord Narayana started describing the matter by saying, very well. In reply, he said, O gods, attempts to know the yoga through yoga itself is to be made, because yoga is promoted only by resorting to yoga. The yogi who remains attentive to his yoga by leaving aside the laxity only can enjoy the pleasure for unlimited period. The devotee who uses the material only to the extent necessary for performance of the deeds, viz. Mita Bhogi, gives up the attachment, every and the dormants, defects, and malefides in the form of attachment, and performs the concentration in solitude because of Brahma. He is a continuous manner. He in a continuous manner does practice for establishment of the soul into the element of Supreme Soul. He always tends to the penance of Raja Yoga in order to set aside the feelings of heat and cold, etc. pain. The yogis, under exercise of pranayama, inhale the wind from mouth and set it in their belly. Thus they push the apana wind from the navel region to the cell of digestion, Jatharagni. They put their all fingers, including the thumb and both palms, on both ears, eyes, and nostrils, and do the continuous exercise of pranayama. Thus, they do concentration on Om in various ways, and by merging themselves with it, realize the element of ever sensitive soul. One more method for the practice of pranayama has been stated, in which the eyes, ears, mouths, and nostrils are closed. By following that process, the spinal nerve is purified, and the strong sounds of Om can be heard with clarity. On hearing to the sound in undisturbed cycle, Anahata Chakra, excellent and of varied nature, words are heard. By virtue of such exercise, the devotee becomes full of splendor, and a divine smell starts emanating out from his body. He attains the divine body and fully developed heart in the healthy state. By virtue of the continuous listening to this sound coming out from the spinal nerve, the man practicing becomes well supported by yoga just in the Muladhara Chakra, from where the spinal nerve starts ascending. This nerve then penetrates the Swadhisthana Chakra, and going out from the hole in its nucleus, the oxygen enters into the spinal nerve. Having duly seated on Padmasana, etc., postures, and by entering into the third Manipura Chakra, the supreme pleasure is obtained without any extra efforts when the illusion Vishnu Granthi is penetrated. This illusion is the sole cause for the growth of excessive desires and ambitions. When the oxygen pranavayu overlaps the void maya while ascending, and when it does friction with the nerve, a sound like trumpet is heard therefrom. At the time when the oxygen penetrates the Manipura Chakra, a sound like mridanga, drum-like sounding instrument, is heard. The oxygen thereafter penetrates other chakras and accesses to great void, Akasha Chakra. All kinds of accomplishment are easily attained. From there, the oxygen thereafter penetrates the feeling of pleasure and becomes dynamic in all chakras. On the completion of this exercise, a sound like flute comes out, and it automatically arises in the form of pranava, Om. According to Sanaka, etc., sages, the entire aptitude is engrossed while listening to the sound of Om. The devotee then finally becomes able in imposing the living soul on the element of Supreme Soul from this Akasha Chakra. He attains immortality by surrounding the soul engrossed in illusions to the Supreme Soul, and by doing concentration on the omnipresent scope of soul. By virtue of the yoga beyond the knowledge, one should enslave the peculiar jnana yoga and put checks on the spiritual meditation by the exclusive meditation. The yogin duly succeed in exclusive meditation attains to the state of emancipation, which directly adheres to the element of Supreme Soul. The egotism of such yogi is set aside by virtue of exclusive meditation, and the world in the form of illusion as residing in the element of soul is also vanished. Thus the scholars go beyond the worries like this is I and this is mine, etc. Worries that arise frequently in the mind of the common people. As the water and the salt get mixed, and no identity of the salt remains separately, the oxygen when exists in the process of kumbhaka under the exercise of pranayama and the mental propensities are weakened. The integrated state of the mind with soul, like the stream of oil, is called meditation. When all resolution are decayed as a result of unity established between the living soul and the supreme soul, the stage so formed is called meditation. When the mind and the wisdom are entirely merged, being senseless to the world, when nothing is felt and everything seems like zero or essenceless, such a stage is called meditation. When the living soul exists underrated, stable, and in the form of light, in spite of the to and fro movement of body, this stage is called meditation. Wheresoever the mind of such a yogi is moved, a supreme position is attained thereto. The perfect knowledge, Parabrahma, is equally felt to that yogi at all places. Tritiya Khandaha. All gods again requested Lord Narayana, O Lord. All gods again requested Lord Narayana, O Lord, please tell us about the discretion of 9 chakras for the welfare of us all. Lord Narayana started explaining the same by reciprocating very well to the gods. He told, the Brahma Chakra is existed in Muladhara. It is in 3 circles in the form of yoni. The great power Kundalini is existed in the shape of a serpent in sleeping posture just at the root of the seed to be. Concentration should be made on that power in the form of the blazing fire until it is awakened, that is, the place of Devi Tripura is existed. As a result of worship to that goddess, all kinds of enjoyments are obtained. The same description has been given regarding the first chakra, namely the Muladhara Chakra. The second chakra is with 6 petals and called Swadhisthana Chakra. A Shiva Linga in red color, like the shoot of coral, should be bring in concentration by facing the west direction at the back of the seed to be to that 6 petal lotus. Uddiyana Pitha is existed there. An accomplishment of fascinating the entire world is obtained by virtue of its worship. The third chakra is encircled by 5 times and it is curvy like the serpent. It is called the Naval Chakra. Concentration on great power of Kundalini, illuminating with the splendor of many crores rising suns and whose organs are so tender as the lightning. A great power is attained when this power is awakened and it renders with all kinds of accomplishment. It is the Manipura Chakra. The fourth discus is called Anahata Chakra. It is also known as Hridaya Chakra. It is in the form of 8 petal lotus and its mouth is downward. One should concentrate on the ever illuminating linga within this discus. This illuminating linga is popularly known as Hamsakala. It is favorite to all and a power dominating the 3 worlds is attained on its awakening. The fifth discus has acquired popularity as Vishuddhakya Chakra and its location is on the throat. It is a 4 fingers measurement. The Ida, nerve of Chandra, and Pingala, the nerve of Sun, are enshrined at the left and right respectively to this discus. One should concentrate on the spinal nerve of white consistency. Amid these two nerves, the man known to it attains mastery on anahata, the sound. At the upper portion of this discus, another discus, Talu Chakra, is enshrined. A stream of nectar perpetually flows from there. There are 10 or 12 petals in Talu Chakra, the whole like a discus at the root of the glottis and extended up to the root of teeth contains this Talu Chakra. The mind enters into void zero when concentration on void is made within this discus. The seventh Bhru Chakra is analogous to the shape of a thumb. An eye of knowledge is worth concentration in the shape of flames, in the shape of flame within that two petal lotus. A knowledge of Kapala, Kanda, the causative functions invisible and the power of speech to explain it is accomplished entirely when this Bhru Chakra is awakened. The discus so framed is called Ajnana Chakra. The eighth discus is called Nirvana Chakra. It is also known as Brahmarandra. It is analogous to the shape of the needle pointed. The shape of Dhumrasikha, perpetually dynamic, should be concentrated therein. Here is existed the Jalandhara Pita. Emancipation is availed as a result of perpetual concentration on that discus. Hence the yogis called it Parabrahma Chakra too. The ninth discus is called Akasha Chakra. Within this discus, a 16 petal lotus with mouth upward is existed. The hypotenuse of its middle place, having generator of three virtues, it has three ridges analogous to a mountain. In the middle of that discus, the power duly bowed is found at the upper portion. One should concentrate on that power. The Purnagiri Pita is too existed at that place. Concentration on this Pita enables the devotee to accomplish all desires intertwined. The person reciting this Saubhagya Lakshmi Upanishad regularly is as holy as the fire and air both. Thus he becomes prosperous with the easy access to wealth, food, wife, children, elephant, horses, buffaloes, cows, servants, and the maids, and becomes scholar. On the completion of the destined period life, he easily attains to the everlasting position of Supreme Soul. As per the awakening secured by this Upanishad, he doesn't return back or fall from that position ever. Iti Saubhagya Lakshmi Upanishad Samapta.